Hi everyone, I hope everybody is enjoying their long weekend. It is Labor Day here in Canada and I wanted to finally, since I had a moment to actually sit down and do this video, I wanted to do this video along with another one talking about Spartan racing and what you are looking to expect if you have signed up for one of these races, what you'll need to get through one of these races, and my feelings about the race overall. But I'm going to do more of like the technical side in this video, like what you'll need and probably the best advice I could give to you on how to finish and what to expect, and then I'll probably do the more emotional stuff in the next video, so if any of you don't want to listen to me ramble about my feelings, don't worry, that's not this video. But today I wanted to sit down and chat with you guys about Spartan racing and what to expect, especially if you're going into your very first race, and what you'll need to get through it, or at least what'll make it easier for you to get through one of these races. Last year was the first year I did my very first Spartan race, which was the Spartan Sprint at Brimcombe here in Toronto. Well, not technically in Toronto, but outside of Toronto. That was the very first race I had ever done, and it was definitely an eye-opener. It was crazy. It was a crazy experience, but it was one of the most amazing things I had ever done, and I've already talked about this. I have posted videos. I posted them last year with my reaction and my feelings about it, so if you guys want to go check them out, I will leave a link in the description box down below. But once you definitely do one, you become 100% addicted, and that is why this summer I am working towards getting my trifecta. I'm almost there. I am less than a week away today from getting my trifecta and doing my last race, which will be the Spartan Beast race, which I'm no longer nervous about, but I am excited for, and I can't wait. I'm excited for the challenge. I think I'm a little bit more nervous about the weather, what it's going to be like, because the weather here has been flip-flopping all week long, if not all summer long. We haven't really had a proper summer here. Long story short, the weather is definitely something you need to factor in when going into one of these races. Along with the major thing I learned this year about racing is that you really have to, I still strongly believe anybody can do one of these races, because as much as it is physical, it is more of a mental game, because the physical aspect of these races, I mean, if you're physically fit, or if you're physically capable to finish the obstacles or run or be able to compete with some of the obstacles, it's just going to make the process of finishing the race a lot faster. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I personally feel it doesn't really matter how physically fit you are, because this race puts everybody on an even playing field. It makes everybody a bitch, basically, because you're not just pushing yourself against these obstacles and running in, running. You're pushing yourself in generally environments that are very intense. Like, usually most of these races are held on mountains or in deserts or in environments or settings or locations that are not like running in the city, not running on pavement. It's very different running in the woods, running through mud, and running in the heat or in the extreme cold. So that plays a massive factor. So I would tell you guys to seriously consider what time of the year you plan on running one of these races and where you plan on running these races. My first race this year was a Spartan Sprint at Owl's Head in Montreal, and it is hands down one of the hardest places I've ever done anything physical ever. And the reason I'm saying that is because I didn't factor in the fact that they actually have real mountains, or the fact that they also have higher altitude, so that was knocking the wind out of me, and I was like, I would take 5 steps up the side of this mountain and I would have no idea why I was completely gassed out. And then I realized, oh, it's because I'm scaling the side of the mountain and the elevation is through the roof, which I am not used to. So that's something I would suggest that you seriously factor in. If you are going to do one of these races, try and find one closest to you, especially if it's your first time and you're not maybe physically as fit as maybe some of the athletes that are running in the elite section, it's just going to make the process a little bit easier and a little bit more enjoyable for you. Not to say that Montreal wasn't enjoyable, but it was very, 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 very difficult because I wasn't finishing as quickly as I wanted to, and had I been accustomed to the elevation, the race itself was quite easy. Like, the obstacles weren't as difficult as I had thought they would be, but overall the experience was definitely harder than anything I've ever done before. So really consider where you're going to run one of these races. Now, what you're actually going to need to bring with you is not a whole lot. I would highly recommend spandex, any polyester clothing, anything compression. Your clothes are going to weigh you down if you wear anything loose, if you wear anything baggy, especially once it gets wet and covered in mud. It's just going to weigh you down. So seriously consider looking into some compression gear if you can afford to, or if you just want the process to be a little bit easier for you. And I think above all else, what you're going to need to wear on you are your shoes. When I went to Montreal and I started Spartan Sprint there, the race, I was shocked to see how many people were just wearing like basic Nike running shoes, Nike Frees. They are 100% not made for these races. Those are not the shoes you want to wear. You are putting yourself at risk physically and hurting yourself and hurting others if you don't have the traction and start sliding down the mountain and slip and fall and hit somebody else. You are putting somebody else in danger, and also you can really, really hurt yourself. So seriously consider getting a pair of trail running shoes. Generally, they have some sort of grip to the bottom of them. They have teeth at the bottom of them. They have like spike-like rubber, so it's just going to grip and make it so much easier for you to run down some of these hills and run up the hills, along with getting through the mud faster. And as well, they are built to be very secure around your foot, so if you get stuck in mud, you're not going to lose your shoe in the mud, which I've seen tons of people do. So seriously consider looking into some trail running shoes. I will link some in the description box down below for you guys to check out. They aren't the cheapest, but you can definitely get them on sale depending on where you go. Sport Chek tends to have some really good sales most of the time. Where else? I don't know. Just sporting goods stores, if you check them out, check it out online. You can check out Amazon. Amazon tends to always have some sort of a sale going on, so I'd highly recommend that. But overall, those are going to be your key thing that's going to help you get through this. The rest of it, like the rest of the stuff that I'm going to suggest, is just going to, again, make the process a little bit easier, or it's just going to help you a little bit, like buying a pair of gloves. You can buy like workout gloves, weight training gloves that have the fingertips cut off but have grip and will protect your hands if you don't have the calluses, if you haven't built up the calluses, or you haven't trained enough with climbing monkey bars or climbing ropes. It's going to protect your hands from blistering, and it's just going to help you grip on to chains and ropes and other things that you're going to face as far as obstacles go. So that's going to be something I would suggest, along with a camelback or some sort of a backpack that has or carries a larger amount of water, because that's just going to help you get through the summer heat, especially if you run these races during the summertime. I personally don't do well in heat. If you can't tell, I'm very pale. I did not come from the desert. I clearly came from the desert or from the mountains, and I don't do well in heat whatsoever. So I have to have some sort of hydration with me. So this last year, I have learned my lesson from the year prior. I bought a bigger camelback that is a 3-liter backpack, which I've done a review video on if you guys want to check it out. It doesn't have to be camelback specifically. There are tons of generic brands that make these backpacks with the hose that comes out of the backpack and you can fill with water or Gatorade. I have found the combination of 2 bottles of Gatorade and water works for me and helps, just because it's giving me the electrolytes that's going to help me finish these longer races. During the sprint, will you necessarily need food and Gatorade and all that extra stuff? Maybe not necessarily. Again, it's just going to maybe help you get through it faster. I use GOO gel packs that are basically energy gel things that are filled with caffeine that help me with my Spartan Super race. It just halfway through the race, when you're gassed out, when you're tired, when you're running low on energy, it's good to have some sort of a bar. always stocked my backpack with Cliff Bars and goo packs just to hydrate me and give me the energy I'm going to need to finish these races, especially once you start getting into the Super and the Beast, because they are a longer distance. And if you're not, again, training to be an elite athlete, if you're not training to run these marathons, which these distances become, you need to give yourself the best chance of surviving one of these races and being happy at the end of it. Bringing all this extra stuff with you is just going to make it easier for you. That's why I'm suggesting you guys look into these things. Again, when you run sprint is supposed to be one of the easier ones. The distance isn't as far. It's about 5 to 6K, depending on where the layout, or depending on where the location is, depending on what the layout is. That's the distance, the general distance of a Spartan sprint. But again, bringing these extra things with you, and sunscreen, always having sunscreen on with you, or having it with you or on you, it's just going to make the process easier. During my race in Montreal, I got terribly sunburned, which I definitely felt like early on to the race, and that made it more difficult because I was exhausted. I had heat exhaustion. I was badly sunburned, like bad sunburn. So sunscreen, good running shoes, good trail running shoes, and a Camelback is just like the 3 things that are just going to make your life a lot easier to get through one of these races. So that's basically as far as the advice on what to bring. Now, what to mentally seek, or what you're basically going to need to mentally prepare for one of these races, the best piece of advice that I can give to you is just go into it with a very open mind and believe in yourself that you're going to finish. It doesn't matter how fast you finish. It doesn't matter who you're competing against. It's just a matter of you crossing the finish line. This is going to be one of the biggest challenges physically that you're ever going to face, no matter how fit you are. The elements and the environment and the obstacles, the mixture of the 3 are going to break you down, and it's going to be a matter of what's up here that's going to get you through it. Because physically, if you can run the distance, physically, if you can get through the obstacles, mentally, getting through and pushing through the pain, no matter how physically fit you are, that pain is going to be there, because these obstacles, and again, the elements of the environments that you're running in, are going to beat you down. That's going to be your toughest challenge. So I always say, from the experience that I've had with these races, physically, the physical aspect of this whole concept of these racing is like maybe like 30% of this whole big game and the whole big scheme of things. The 70% is 100%, like, is almost 100% of the mental game, because it's all in your head, because it's all you. You're going to be the one that's going to get you across the finish line. The people around you are going to help you if you need help. If you need help getting over a wall or getting through an obstacle, people are there to help you, no matter whether you run it by yourself or you run it with a group of people. There are hundreds of people running this race with you that are going to be around, that are going to help you if you ask, especially if you offer to help them in return. People are totally down, and people are totally understanding and open to the idea of helping you out. I cannot get over a 6-foot wall by myself, let alone an 8 or a 10-foot wall by myself. So if you look around, or usually there's some sort of a lineup waiting to get over or to the obstacle, if you stop the people in front of you or behind you, or you look around and ask somebody, 9 times out of 10 somebody's going to help you out. The person that may not help you out is trying to maybe keep up with their time or isn't interested, which is okay. You just turn to another person and somebody will absolutely help you out. That's my experience with, as far as like needing help. Somebody will always be around to help you out, no matter what, whether it's the volunteers or it's the racers themselves. Somebody's always going to be there to help you out. So do not be afraid to run these races alone, because I've run all of them by myself, and along the way you make friends, you make conversation, you build a team. If you can keep up the people you start off with, they're always going to be around, and you're going to pay attention. You're going to notice those people are around you, and they'll most likely be around to help you out as well. So I hope this video helps you guys. I hope it gives you a good idea as far as what equipment you'll need going into one of these races. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about what really motivates me to do these races, why it seems like most people to the outside world, we seem insane and crazy in doing these races, especially when you look at what these races entail. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the next video, so I will see you guys in the next one, and I hope this helped you out. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below, or reach me through my Twitter or my Instagram. As always, I'll leave all that below, and I hope you guys have a wonderful long weekend and enjoy the end to our lovely summer. See you guys.